What's up, everybody? Welcome to Codex After Dark. I am your host, Jamie J-Dub. With me, as always, Tone Super, the sci-fi swordsman. And joining us today is the vampiest of vampies, Kristen. How are you guys doing today?
I'm
Doing
great.
doing great.
Doing
If you
great.
guys didn't get a chance to check out the pre-show, we had a long, fun discussion on She-Hulk and so much more on how we got into comics and such. Guys, if you have not yet, get the business out of the way. Go check out the codexstation.com, your one-stop shop for everything Codex. Get your merch. How about this little comic community a little bit? Keep the shows running like we have been. You can meet the team, message us, let us know what you don't like. Leave comments down below. If you guys like the shows and what you guys think is one of the best. But how are you guys? How was your week?
Oh, are you talking about me? Yeah, no, I'm
Both
great.
of you.
I'm doing good. Yeah.
My week was
I'm
great.
reading some of my Halloween comics so I can do reviews for them, and yeah, God, I'm boring. Jeez. Hey, hi, cheers.
Many things, not boring.
Yes. No, you're not at all. But let's get into some pulls this week. I did not have any pulls because I got to go get them next week. But I do have a mail call where I want to show off today. So I'm gonna start with that, and
Mail
then
call.
let Tone jump
It's the
into it.
mail. It never fails. Oh, sorry, we all get copyright striked.
Yeah, only the first 3 seconds you're allowed to sing.
Yeah, well, that's all you got.
But yeah, no. First off, I'm starting off with Batman White Knight presents Red Hood. The
Sorry,
second
if you guys
issue.
see my face go like really, it's just I'm blind as shit, man.
The
I
Red
like that.
Hood. Okay.
Or I like that pose.
It looks like they gave him a new costume.
They did.
Oh no, it's the White Knight universe.
did.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. You said White Knight. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's definitely a different costume.
I got the Sword of Azrael B cover, the one-shot variant, Dark Knight of Souls.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I would love to say I like this cover, but I don't.
Azrael is back. Yes.
No, Azrael's great, but that's not a great cover. Sorry, guys.
It goes with the same thing for the very first issue. The same art style.
Yeah, but see, that's better than what you just showed us. And I get how it connects because I can. Oh, I'm pointing to my screen like you guys can freaking see me.
Oh, they can.
But I see everything that connects to it, but that other cover was not great.
So one of the ones that I did get and I showed off on the last episode was the Death Ranger.
Yeah.
Come to find out that on the inside of the A cover, it was misprinted. So it was like half the page was missing on all the pages. So I went out, got, another number one, but I did get the foil variant for it that I am in love with.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that. It's like a yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got this week.
Okay.
Tell me, how's the stack looking?
Too, Kevin, by the way.
I'm going to start out with what I haven't read this week. And I picked up a back issue and a current issue, 1 and 2 of The Dead Lucky. Right?
Yeah, boy.
Oh, I don't know that one. Tell me what it's about.
So this is the continued expansion of the Radiant Black universe.
Yeah, super massive.
Right. Yeah. And so it started Radiant Black and then Radiant Red, Rogue Sun. They're really building a universe around and this is Image, of course. They're really building a universe around the events of Radiant Black. And this is apparently the next character that's being expanded on, established and expanded on. But I don't know much about him yet. I just know that part 1, book 1, right now, and book 2.
Yeah, and they just announced Radiant Pink.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I really digging the art. So ping me that, by the way, Tone, please.
Sure thing.
Because Kristen needs to read it.
Now, I'm going to now move into the things that I read. I read Dark Spaces #3, Wildfire.
Right. Oh, I love that hatchet with the
This has been This is great. This is a story of if you haven't been reading Dark Spaces, it's by IDW. right? If anyone doesn't know, I've said it plenty of times on the show. I'm a huge fan of the independent comic companies where they get away from the superhero stories and they tell, they may be short stories that go for 5 issues, 8 issues, 3 issues, 10 issues. But you get all different types of stories. This particular story is following a group of women who are all paroled. They're ex-cons, and they all work a fire crew fighting forest fires. And they're on a ridge line fighting a forest fire, and they come across a mansion. One of them knows it's a mansion that's maintained by a rich guy. And because it's abandoned and the fire is coming in, they think they can get in, get some stuff out of the house, and get out of there to before the fire overtakes the house. But they get into the house, they find a body, and then a hit team shows up to take them out. So they don't know what's going on. They're trying to survive with the fire closing down on the home. So that's what Dark Spaces is. This is issue number 3. Great story so far. Predator number 2.
I've heard good things so far about the Predator series.
Yeah.
Is
Issue
it
1.
good?
Yes. Basically, a young lady is hunting up the predator. A predator killed her family. She's aware of it now. Humans are aware of the predators, and she's actually taken to space to hunt the predator that killed her family. And so, and at the end of this one, of course, the predator is aware it's being hunted. It found her first, right? And so, I recommend it.
Would you recommend that for people that watched Prey?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I feel like that's what it's kind of sounding like.
It does.
in
It
a
sounds
way.
like that. So would it be like if you didn't
Nothing
watch
like it.
Predator, would you be okay watching blah, blah, blah. If you've never watched the movies, would you be okay reading this?
No,
Good jumping on point. No.
no,
No.
no.
Okay.
You
So
would-
at least
you would-
watch the first one.
Yeah, you really need to be. It's a hard bit of a hard. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
hard assessment for me to make because I've been a fan of the Predators for so long. I could
Get it.
see the book
Totally get it.
being boring for someone who has no knowledge of the Predators. With that being said, it's hard for me to imagine someone who hasn't seen a Predator movie to this point. However, there is an
I know
entire
people who
generation of
haven't.
people. Yeah, there is an entire generation of people who haven't seen Predator. So
My
I do not
sister's
think the
6 years
book.
older than me, and she messaged me the other day and goes, I've never watched these. Should I watch the Alien movies or the Predator movies first? And I was like, yeah, you're just gonna come visit me and we're just gonna watch them. Is what's gonna freaking happen. So I mean that's where my question is coming from. Like, would you suggest
I would not recommend that. I
or
would
movies?
recommend the movie before the
Okay.
comic. And the
'Cause it
comic,
sets-
this
does it
comic
set the
actually,
tone?
this comic actually establishes a timeline relative to the other Predator movies. And
Okay.
so
That's cool.
it says this happens in this year, and this happens in this year, and this happens in this year, and
Like
this is taking place in this year.
That's awesome, actually.
I picked up Midnight Suns #1.
That is on my pulls.
Oh my
So I
God.
can't wait to get into that.
Hi, artists
meh.
or comic books.
I said meh.
You can go ahead and cover the midriff, okay? I'm just saying, as a woman, armor can go over all of it,
I would
okay?
have to say that's Ilyana.
I know it's Ilyana, but
That's what she does.
it's
It-
totally what she does. I'm just
Her
saying.
best friend is a covered woman. Stays covered. She is. She
just
lets
saying.
it hang. Right.
You know what's sexy? You know when I've got hit on the most?
What's that?
I was
What's
at a flea
that?
market with my husband, and I was wearing just like last month, okay? And I
Uh-huh.
was wearing just a t-shirt, and people kept staring right up in here, right? I will make you choke on your Red Bull. But I looked at my husband, I'm like, can you see my boob? Like, is this ripped? Can you see my boobs or something? He goes, no, it's just so tight that we can see how big they are. And I'm like, right. Comic book girls should be covered then.
I'm
That's all I'm
saying.
saying.
I'm gonna let Ileana keep going that way. Kevin says he has the same problem.
Yeah,
Stop.
it's the boobs, man.
Stop.
It's the boobs. I know.
I was not impressed with Midnight Suns at all.
Aw.
This first issue was completely, I can't even say middle of the road. It just wasn't good to me. And after at least one issue, I see no reason why this team should be together. It's
Been there for
yeah,
comics, by the way.
I think I know they're doing a game, and maybe this is meant to get some exposure to the upcoming Midnight Suns game.
Oh, they
But
are doing a game?
Yeah.
no.
Oh my god, I missed that. Excuse me as I Google.
The other book I just wasn't a fan of this week, Future State Gotham, War of the Batman.
Yeah, it's been falling off very, very slowly.
Yeah, I haven't picked it up for a while. And so I thought War of the Batman, I thought this was going to be a fight between Bruce Wayne Batman and what's Fox's son name, who's Batman also?
Luke.
Yeah.
Luke.
But it wasn't that. And so, yeah, I just wasn't too much of a fan of the book. I wouldn't pick it up unless you are actively collecting that series. And now we're going to get into some stuff that I did like a lot.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go Chip Zdarsky, Daredevil.
I like that cover. I do, actually.
And Chip Zdarsky continues to, yeah, Kevin, they do force a lot of teams together. It doesn't really make sense. Yeah. And this seems 100%. To be one of them so far. Don't know where it's going to go. I hate to judge a book by issue 1. Most writers have a plan that they're going to try and write to. But I, as a guy who's been reading for years now, maybe it would appeal to some of the younger readers, but for me, it just didn't. Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, however, continues to hit it out the park. Good issue, good solid issue. No major. There's a significant event, but no major actions that take place in this book. This clearly is setting the stage for stories to come.
That cover makes me think of a marionette.
Yeah.
Is that on purpose?
And it should, yes.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yes.
No spoilers. I'm just saying that's a marionette. Love it. Thank you.
The most unique book I'm reading right now, Samurai Doggy.
Oh.
Sorry, I love the title. Hold on one second. Can you pull that up a little bit more for me? Is that a Shiba Inu?
Yep, that's what it looks like.
It totally is. It totally is. I love it.
And Samurai Doggy.
I'm in.
It just looked weird and quirky, and I got to find out what's going on with this book. This is issue 2. I've got issue 1 over here. Issue 2 came out this week. The story is a pup is born as part of a litter, and while he and his brothers and sisters are still nursing on their mom, a person shows up and kills the mom. And
revenge.
And he attacks. Yep, exactly.
He attacks,
and he's a pup, and it slaughters him up pretty bad, and he's going to lay there and die. And of course, a weird, strange vulture with a robotic head shows up and saves its life. And we fast forward to now. Doggy is an adult dog matured into a samurai who's walking the land looking for his family's killer, right?
As we all are when we have revenge.
And so and it looked weird, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it, and I'm enjoying it,
I love it. I love it.
It has vibes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It has vibes of of Afro Samurai. And so completely unique. The art style is different. The writing is sharp. It's great. Right.
Who's it written by?
It's written
Oh no, I'm suddenly down. I'm like, yeah.
Chris Tex.
Okay.
And the artist's name is Santos. He got just Santos, nothing else.
Love it.
Now to my really, really good books of the week. I'm going to start with Batman versus Robin #1. This is the cover B.
I got that one on my pull. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Zatanna, right?
Yep.
Blah
That's
blah blah.
Zatanna.
Sorry guys, I've had some whiskey, so like my tongue is like blah 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 blah. But you guys heard me. That's cool.
And this book was
I love it.
surprisingly good. I was not going to buy Batman and Robin #1, Batman versus Robin #1. I just thought, okay, they're just coming up with another story, milk some more out of Bat types. Yep, got it. And I wasn't going to get it until I saw the Z cover. And hey, Sal just jumped in. Hey, what's going on, Sal?
Hey, we were talking about you earlier.
Hey, Sal, we were talking about you. What's up, baby?
And once I saw the Zatanna cover, as you can see, I try to keep fresh books on the wall. And let's see, up here. And so I've got some empty spots going on. You can see one back by the door. And I was like, yeah, I think that Zatanna is going to go on the wall.
Yeah.
That's a hot cover. I mean,
that one's going on the wall for me too. I'm starting my wall collection.
I am very picky on covers, but that's a fucking hot cover.
And then, but what was crazy, I bought it for the cover, but the book was a great read. And for any Batman fan, something happens in this book, right, that you have to read.
Yeah, I think Kevin gave it away, but I'm not going to put it on the screen.
Yeah. And so I would say that
I have a little lag in my chat here.
If you've been following Batman for the past kind of, I guess, 3 years to 5 years, there's an event in this book that's relevant to what's been happening in the back books across this time. And so this is a book that you really want to pick up and read. And with that being said, the book in and of itself, within the confines of the story they're establishing on why Damian would fight Bruce and why Bruce would fight Damian, I love what they've done so far in this book. So Batman versus Robin #1 is one of my must reads for the week.
Awesome. So Tone, did you read and not to like push one of my reviews, did you ever get to read Big B versus Batman?
The who?
Big B versus Batman. Big B Wolf from Fables. I don't know. Do you
no. Yes. I think I read Elmer Fudd versus Batman, but not Big B Wolf versus Batman.
Okay, well, I would 100% read that. I was curious. I didn't know if anybody else read it.
No,
I have it. I just haven't gotten to it.
It's good. It's good. There's
I've seen the review.
Well, hi, anyone who hasn't seen the review. No, it's actually very good. I enjoy it. And I would just like to hear somebody else's opinions. Why I was asking. So,
in my next 2 books, I'm going to say together, X-Men Red.
Kevin, message me later.
And then Judgment Day. These are both must reads.
Wait, show me those covers again, please.
X-Men Red. This is number 6.
Love it. Okay. Oh, that's Magneto's helmet.
Yeah. And this is X-Men Judgment Day.
Okay.
Where the Celestial renders judgment on the planet.
Yeah, I see Cyclops. Okay. Thank you.
And so
I'm behind people if you're asking why.
Are we going spoilers or no spoilers?
Oh, you can spoil me all
you
you
can
want,
spoil.
man.
I'm gonna still read it.
I'm a spoiler person. And this is to anybody watching. I love spoilers because to me it doesn't matter. It will not take away my enjoyment of reading or watching. So spoil away.
So as you all know, the main group of Eternals have declared that mutants are deviants and must be wiped out. That's the premise of this story. Some of the Eternals have sided with the X-Men and the mutants and are trying to fight the other Eternals to save the mutants. What happens in the story writ large, and we're on issue 4 now, so shouldn't be a spoiler at this point, is that anyone who's been reading Avengers knows that in events that have taken place in Avengers across the past few years, the Avengers headquarters are currently the body of a dead Celestial, right? And this Celestial died several millennia ago on Earth, and its blood basically affected everything on the planet, which is why we have such a concentration of superpowered people on the planet, right? as the planet evolved, and it influenced that. Now that's a whole separate story. What the takeaway is that this body of the Celestial eventually becomes the Avengers headquarters. And the Eternals didn't like it because, as you know, they worship the Celestials, right? And they found it disrespectful to have these mortals walking around inside the dead body of one of their gods. So once the Eternals decided that they were going to consider mutants deviations, excess deviation that has to be wiped out, how do you stop this eternal assault? And so working with the Avengers, Hephaestus from the Eternals and the mutants, they chose to try to resurrect this dead Celestial, saying once the Celestial is resurrected, the Celestial, its body is the reason Earth exists the way it does. So the Celestial will give the Eternals new orders to stop this war against the mutants, right? The Celestial awakens and immediately decides it's going to judge the planet for existence, right? You all suck or don't suck, and I'm going to judge each one of you. And if you fail in judgment, if more people fail in judgment than succeed in judgment, I'm going to wipe this planet out, right?
Okay.
And so now, so they're two separate stories. There's the Eternals' effort to destroy the mutants, and then there's the Celestial judgment that are taking place. In X-Men Red, they reveal that, well, in the Eternals, they reveal that Thanos has a grandfather, right? And his name is Uranus, right? And Uranus is unleashed on the X-Men planet of Mars, or Araco. And in 1 hour, he decimates the population. He's released from his cage for 1 hour, and in 1 hour, he brings mass slaughter about on Araco. Storm and Magneto have been on Araco.
Of course they are. Sorry. I mean, how X-Men is that?
Right. Now, Storm is the regent of Araco, right? And for the mutants, but they respect the Arakans' wishes. And now, I don't know if you saw in the last issue, the way it ended, that Uranus fought Magneto and tore Magneto's heart out of his chest, killing him.
Juicy.
Or so we thought. And that brings us to the current issues. Give me 1 second. I'll give you guys just a quick look at the frame.
Juicy spoiler. Juicy spoiler.
Yeah. Turning the pages, trying to find the frame.
Kristen, taking
so
another.
It was believed Magneto, Uranus killed Magneto, the seat of loss on the Arakan Council, and left.
Okay.
But Magneto did not die.
Oh, wait, let me see this. That's a hot Magneto, by the way. I mean,
and Magneto.
I forget we're being recorded. I don't mean like hot, like Kristen wants to look at him. I mean, the art is amazing.
And so Magneto lived by powering his body using an electromagnetic field in his chest to continue to fight, which Storm then powered up with her lightning. So some pretty intense moments in there. It was a badass book in X-Men Red that did some badass things. And in Judgment Day, you get to see the Eternals judgment. You see him going through different people and judging them. Captain America fails judgment. Luke Cage fails judgment, right? He's appearing to each individual on the planet in something that would resonate with them and judging them. What's hilarious is Doom's judgment. That's down here, right? When he appears to Doom. And the statement for Doom is, I appear to Victor Von Doom and give him a simple challenge. Say that Reed Richards is smarter than you and you will pass. He laughs and then laughs some more and turns and leaves. Right? He passes himself. I concur. Right? But it's a great book. But in the end, as any good story is, the eternal rules against our existence, and Cap realizes that they're all about to die. Right. And so, great book. I highly recommend Judgment Day and X-Men Red.
Okay.
Must reads for a comic fan. And that brings me to my last book, the best book of the week.
Oh no, what is it? I'm so excited, actually.
Jeff Lemire.
Redeeming
No way.
himself?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
10,000 Black
No
Feathers.
fucking way.
You know this
Sorry,
story?
I'm swearing, but no fucking way. I do. I do, and I love that cover, by the way. I do.
Yeah, it had a couple of covers. This is the one I settled on.
That's
I didn't know. Now, so this is a story that exists somewhere in novels.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. This book was awesome. And issue 1 follows a girl coming home.
Kevin will I will message you a list. Okay, baby?
It is 10,000. Oh, I just saw Kevin's comments. That's right.
Yeah.
Screw Druid. That's right.
No, we will, but I will either me or Jamie will guys will give you a list of what we're talking about here.
There you go. 10,000 Black Feathers. Right. And
Kevin, you need to get on this.
And so there's a young lady. She's coming home to her foster parents' house, her foster mother, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
Foster mother's happy to have her home. She's having visions and she's hearing someone talking to her. But they don't really expand on it at all in this book. You almost think it's her thoughts until you realize it's not. It's someone or something that speaks to her. And she comes home. Her foster mother is ecstatic to see her. She reveals to her foster mother that things aren't going well. She's coming back to kind of regroup, get her feet under her. Foster mother is happy to have her home and tells her this is still her home. But then they allude to the tragedy of what happened to her foster brother, right? And they don't reveal what that tragedy was. And then the book ends in a very macabre way. You see what I believe is the soul of her foster brother asking for help. I don't know if that's what it is yet, but yeah, I'm very, very intrigued, and I highly recommend reading it. And those are my polls for the week.
Yeah, as Kevin said, sold. I'm like, I'm sold. Hell yeah.
So that's the whole shebang bang.
I love it.
Yeah, well, great pulls. I can't wait to get all of mine finally and have a stack. Like, yay!
Yeah.
To show off when we get back to it. But let's get into some topics we had this week, guys. Like,
yeah, for anyone curious, I have no pulls this week. I apologize, but
I know you're doing some reviews. What do you got on slate?
All right, so I'm going to do a review of Alice Ever After from Boom Studios, all 5 issues that are there. I'm going to do What Did Eddie Gein Do, which was suggested by a friend of mine. And then next month, I'm going to do The Crow Special Edition by James O'Barr. I love The Crow movie. I never got a chance to read the comic, guys, so this is going to be my first time reading the comic. And then I'm going to read the Nightbreed comic because I love Nightbreed and Cabal. So,
sweet.
4 reviews. They're going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, actually. I'm really excited to read all these.
Yeah, I'm going to do a review here soon on, it's called The White Trees by Chip Zdarsky from Image.
Nice.
It was only 2 issues, but the art struck me, and I was like, I'm doing this. So
Kevin's in.
Yes, he is. But yeah, I was going to say real fast too, because we had D23 and all the announcements come out. If you guys haven't caught the podcast yet from this past week, definitely check it out. We went over everything, almost everything. Sonny did his whole skipping his own, order that he put everything in. It was great. We had a staring contest in the pre-show, so check it out on twitch.tv/the Codex Station if you guys want to. But yeah, one of the things I wanted to bring up is this resurgence of animated TV series. That I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around because of the fact that it's so good again. Like I feel like a kid in my 30s when I'm seeing this.
Well, you're
What
saying
specifically?
animated,
What
but I was thinking
specifically?
fantasy, right?
Well, no, we're gonna get into the fantasy aspect from
Oh,
your
so it's
topic.
different topic. You're talking about the actual animated series.
Yes, I'm talking just animated series in general.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Gotcha.
we'll get into the fantasy realm after that. But
Okay.
like I don't know, it seemed like right when the original setup for Disney Plus started, there was this big hit when Gargoyles came back and they got the rights to that. Now
Oh my
we're seeing
gosh.
Gargoyles coming back as a
I
series.
love Gargoyles. I
Me
own
too.
DVD. Freaking love Gargoyles.
You had Harley Quinn animated series, which like
Mhm.
captivated so many.
I haven't watched it yet, but I hear it's really good.
It is very, very good.
Amazing. Okay,
I highly recommend it.
I'm behind on a lot of things, people.
You know, you have them bringing back Batman animated series to an extent, and it's just calibrating to so much more. Like, Young Justice is still going to be going, and we have all these new series coming out. To me, and you even look at like X-Men. We're getting a new X-Men animated series.
I'm down.
Stemming off the previous X-Men series. Right? So, I mean, in your guys' thoughts, is it something that should it be like it was when we were growing up at that time? You know, like that 90s era where everything was hitting. Like you had Fox Kids and you had WB, you know, in the morning where you said Saturday morning cartoons, but now on a streaming service platform. Is it the same for you? Do you still get that nostalgia feeling when you see them, or is it something completely different?
No. Let me put it this way. So I lived a lot of my, elementary, middle school life on these cartoons. I love X-Men animated series. I love Batman. I love Batman Beyond. My very first like anime crush was Johnny Quest because it was the real adventures of Johnny Quest. It wasn't like the one from like the 60s or 70s. It was the one that was new for us. But when I watch these now, it's so different. And it's not different in the way that like, oh my god, it's like old animation or anything like that. It's the grab, if that makes sense.
Like almost like the lure for it.
Yeah, because if I watch the old X-Men series, I will always love Gambit. I will always love Rogue, but like the story doesn't. If I watch the new Adventures of Johnny Quest, which I own, I get the grab of the story, but what I loved isn't there anymore.
Okay.
And I'm gonna date myself here. If anyone that's watching this knows the Pirates of Dark Water. Anyone? No, okay, you guys don't know. Pirates of Dark Water. I own the whole entire series. It's an amazing series. It was one of those deep, serious series of the 90s, but it doesn't hit the same way.
Okay.
So I think what they're trying to go ahead and relate to isn't 100% there anymore. And I think that's why you get a lot of people are like angry about some of these series and these movies. It doesn't hit the way it did when we first were introduced to it. You know? I don't know.
That makes sense to me in its entirety. I'm not excited about it all, but that doesn't mean I don't have nostalgia, right?
Right.
When you say Gargoyles to me, like there's a part of me inside that's like, oh man, I loved Gargoyles, right?
I probably won't like the new one, but I love Gargoyles.
But that doesn't automatically translate into, oh my gosh, I'm going to go watch Gargoyles again. I love Gargoyles for its time, right? And right now, I have no interest in going back, right?
Agreed.
Right.
And so, and then it made me wonder when I sat and contemplated this trend that we're looking at, like who is their target audience? Because is their target audience today's youth? So they're building the next generation, and at which case it probably won't be for me. It won't be developed enough or advanced enough for where I am right now.
And it's not supposed to be.
And exactly. And if it is me, if I am the target audience, then have they misfired because I'm not interested in revisiting that property, right?
Right.
And so I'm not quite sure what the goal of it is. Like when they re-announced, they're going to redo the X-Men series,
Yeah.
and continue the X-Men series, I should say, pick up where it left off. I was like, but I knew the X-Men series, and that was great.
You and me, Tone. I should be super excited about this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
And that doesn't mean that there's no great animated series, right? Like
Mhm.
Kevin's referencing the Harley Quinn. The Harley Quinn is on my watch list. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure it's
Yeah,
great.
but I plan on checking it out. And so, but revisiting the older stuff, like the
The
new
haircut.
Gargoyle series, I'd already said the X-Men series, the Batman series, the anime. No, I'm not going back there. And I hope today's kids, I hope it's something that resonates with them, so they can get that love and nostalgia for it. I'm more interested in what they've done in animation with things like League of Legends, right? The League of
Okay.
Legends,
Yeah.
Arcane. Uh, Arcane was just it kicked ass on every level. I'm still blown away by what they did in Arcane, and or what they did in What If. And I know What If won all the awards. I think Arcane should have won. I think Arcane kicked What If's ass personally, but What If was such quality work. It was very well polished. All of the stories weren't outstanding, but several of them I really enjoyed. Um, uh, but even a lot of DC's animated movies, and DC's known for putting out quality animated movies. They've, I'll probably say the past 3 or 4 years just kind of fallen flat on me, where most of them I don't even watch. Um, it
And
used to be kind of like an event, like, oh my gosh, DC's putting out another animated movie,
Right.
and now it's like every 2 months they've got 2 to 3 months they've got some new animated feature out,
yeah,
and
100%.
it's just like kind of white noise for me. Like, nah, I'll just, and I'm dive back to my comics. So I love what they're doing. I love the fact that it's there. It's not resonating with me, pulling me back into them. I think today's kids are the target, and if they are, I hope they love it. So I don't think it's bad. I think I've just outgrown some of it.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think a lot of that could be not just in comic worlds, but you look at things like House of Dragons, The Rings of Power, things like that, where you're just like, are you just trying to go ahead and get us to watch it because we have this nostalgia factor?
Yeah. Which should lead us
Or
into the
because
next topic.
Yeah, or because it's a good series. Now, again, I don't know. I have not watched Rings of Power. I've not watched House of Dragons. But in my head, all I can think of is when I see all these new series come out, I'm like, not what I wanted.
Well,
I
for me,
love the Lord of the Rings movies. They were as close to the books as they can come. I don't hate the fact that you do a prequel to it, but like, why was it needed now?
well, I think that so I'm going to transition out of the
Yeah,
animated
go
into
ahead.
the
Yeah.
fantasy.
Please do.
Um, and so I see the fantasy world though a little bit different. Um, and I see the fantasy world as I'm loving what they're doing in the fantasy realm. And I have to draw a partition down the middle between the animated aspect and the fantasy, these kind of live action, real fantasy uh, properties that they've been working on, they've been pumping out. Because a lot of the fantasy properties didn't exist outside of the book realm, right?
Right. Exactly.
Whereas, so like take Lord of the Rings. Let's take the Rings of Power series. I'm blown away by how outstanding it is so far.
Very
And to
good.
me, it's far better than the Hobbit trilogy, right? Um, far better, like not comparable. And they seem to have smartly gone in and built within the structure of the existing story, fleshed out some characters and some backdrops, and are going to tell an interesting story here. Um, so we know Hollywood moves in trends, and
Yeah.
and there's actually a stock market saying you follow the trend till it bends in the end, right? They
Right.
they pump out whatever the theme is, you get a ton of it until people get tired of seeing it in theaters, and then they dump it and they move on, right? And we remember we all went through there was kind of like the cop movie phase, and they had 1,000 different cop movies out, and then
Beverly Hills Cop,
kind of crashes. Beverly Hills Cop, Red Heat,
Rush Hour, Red.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And so then
absolutely.
Tango and Cash, and then the cop movie trend kind of Lethal Weapon, and the cop movie
Lethal Weapon.
kind of bends and ends, and then they move into a new one, and then it's the next. They hit the vampire trend for a while, and that ended, and they hit the zombie trend for a while,
Oh God,
and
yeah.
that ended, and right now we seem to be in the superhero trend,
We are.
and the
I
super
agree 100%, by the way, because
and-
I've seen the zombie and the vampire trend throughout my life, and I'm like, yeah, you are 1,000% correct.
right. The Sleepless in Seattle created a romantic comedy trend, right? This kind of romantic comedy / drama type of trend, and every movie was like that for about 3 years, and people stopped
More
going to
than
the theaters
3.
to see it. Yeah, and so right now I think the success of the comic realm has given the studios to say maybe we can do these books well, right? And
Yeah.
to see so many properties, Wheel of Time now being brought to life smartly and being well done.
Right.
Rings of Power kind of extending the Tolkien mythology even further.
Right.
House of Targaryen extending George R.R. Martin's mythology further. If you look at the global phenomenon that Game of Thrones was until it collapsed in season 7, right?
Right.
If you're sitting back and you're thinking, man, if I can make 80% of that money, right, of what they did there with this level of investment, it could be wildly successful. And so I feel like they're striking while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, The Witcher season 2, a year ago, The Witcher was a class act of this type of
Agreed.
Property, right? This fantasy property. Everybody's saying The Witcher, The Witcher, The Witcher.
I know what you're about to say, and I agreed.
Compared to the Rings of Power, compared to House of Targaryen, to Point, right? Compared to Sandman, right?
Yeah.
It's The Witcher is not as good as them, and that's a statement at the
and I
level
love
of
The
quality.
Witcher, but I agree.
Yeah, and so I know that this trend is going to end. I'm hoping to see as many of these novel style, not comic book stories, but these novel stories come to life as we can before they get
as you're saying, I
oversaturated.
mean,
Yeah.
They're novels. Like, go look up Neil Gaiman, guys.
Yeah.
Good Omens, you got all of that. Go look up The Witcher. I mean, they are novels that are now being turned into these TV shows.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yep. And so I think they've jumped out of the comic books. They've jumped into the novels. Just look at and this is not the kind of television show fantasy, but look at the last Dune movie. Like that thing.
I want to.
That thing was great. I loved it.
Don't nod your head, Jamie. It was not great.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was not.
What was wrong with it?
I loved it.
What did you not like about it?
Oh God. Okay, well, one, I need to
I'm
let you
wounded.
guys know. No. You don't need to be wounded because I'm going to tell you something that's going to make you feel so much better. You want to know what my favorite movie is?
What's that?
The Super Mario
Dune?
Brothers movie in 1990.
Oh yeah.
So you guys should not take my opinion on video game movies seriously because I unapologetically love the Super Mario Brothers movie. It's one of my top 5.
Yeah.
Tone's like, yeah, I'm not gonna listen to Kristen anymore. Fuck it.
Right.
And you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You should not, by the way. Like, that's legit. I love that movie.
I'm just saying that I've
Sorry, love
never made it through more than 15 minutes of that movie. And
Yeah, no.
that's including drunk army time where we would watch
No,
anything.
no, that's fine. That's fine.
But
I
I think this
I understand.
I think that
Love that movie.
I think that when we look at the fantasy properties right now, the new trend, that's the new trend.
I agree. That totally is.
And as long as they're doing quality work, Jamie's just been so quiet. What's up, Jay?
I'm listening to you and Kristen.
I'm
at
so
this point,
loud. I'm so sorry.
No,
guys,
you
but...
will participate in the discussion. Ah!
No, I think Tone has a really good point. So we now have this issue of like, oh, some of these are TV shows, but if you go back to the 80s, 90s, early 2000s for the geeky stuff, they were not great movies. Look, I love Super Mario Brothers movie. It's one of my top 5 movies of all time. It's not a good movie, people. It's not a great movie. Look, I'm even going to date myself even more. I love Howard the Duck. Yeah, there's duck boobs in it. There's really crappy music. It's a horrible movie. I will defend it.
But
and I think we're almost, well, what I mean is, like, I think we're almost getting that to the new generation. Yeah. Let's put it this way. If you go through the Thor movies, for example, okay? First Thor movie, great. I love Winter Soldier. Ragnarok is okay. And then this new one is, they get a little, what I mean by that is they get a little sillier as they go on. They get a little not as serious. So that's what happens with comic book movies. If we keep going, we can either give you serious, here's the comic book, or we can give you serious, but we're going to get a little goofy. In the 80s and 90s, it was both. But now these days, it's one or the other. And you got to tell us what you like, because the next movie they're going to make is based off the audience.
You know, it's a very interesting trend you just pointed out, because when you apply that as a trend line, that's the arc that Batman moved on from Michael Keaton's Batman.
100%.
Right, which was taken seriously, was a serious shot at bringing the Cape Crusader to the screen. Mm-hmm. And then Batman Returns, right, which was not as good as the first one. We get Catwoman in that movie. We get the Penguin, Danny DeVito's Penguin.
Catwoman was amazing. Penguin was.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, iconic for Michelle Pfeiffer. And Danny DeVito's Penguin didn't quite sell it for me. I think he went
my mom. I was gonna say, my mom, who's a comic book person, loves the Penguin as a character, and she was like, she says they went too gross.
Yeah, I would agree with that
a little bit. And not that Danny DeVito was a bad person to play the Penguin, the way they wrote him in that movie was to make him be like a human penguin hybrid, when in the reality, the Penguin was just the Penguin because of how he moved and how he looked.
Well, when I looked at the threat of him, that's where the threat of the Penguin. If you watch the movie, in the whole movie he kills one person and it's his own henchman, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, I never thought about that. Yes.
And so his big threat out of the whole movie, his master plan is penguins with little missiles on their back, right? That he launches at the end. And so I feel that Danny DeVito did a great job playing the character they wanted. Absolutely. I don't like the character that they established as the Penguin.
Oh, yeah. No, 100% agree with that.
But then you 100%. Move into Val Kilmer's Batman and Batman Forever, and it's a lot more goofy. It's more camp. You've got Jim Carrey in there really hamming it up as the Riddler, right?
And you know what? I don't hate him as the Riddler.
Yeah, it's not that I do. It's just that what we're
Riddler,
that trend towards comedy, that trend towards comedy, that arc, The movie was a lot more over the top than its predecessors. Tommy Lee Jones, over the top Two-Face, you know.
I don't even
And
hate him as Two-Face, but it's very what were they going for at the time? Comic booky?
yeah, and then that's
Yeah.
before. Then you get to Batman and Robin, and you've got full on campiness.
It was Batman and Nightwing.
Yeah, designed. You've got designed freaking by-plan. We're going to make this campy. We want funny. We want over the top. Arnold Schwarzenegger hit us with as many one-liners as you can come up with.
Got him for the V's.
Yeah, Bat credit cards coming out, Bat nipples, right? Yeah, Kevin just said it, Bat nipples, exactly. And so that arc you're talking about,
So
that
many
where it
nipples.
trended towards comedy the longer it went on. And so yeah. Real quick side note while we're talking about old movies.
Yeah.
I still think arguably the greatest superhero movie of all time, and it still plays good today, is the original Superman the movie.
Oh,
which
okay.
is aged
Christopher Reeves. Oh yeah.
Which has aged exceptionally well. The original movie is still a movie you could sit down and watch today. And while its approach to special effects looks a little dated, absolutely, the story, the delivery, the execution, the slight insertions of comedy were necessary. It still all holds water today. And
I agree wholeheartedly.
And Superman 2 does not. If you watch Superman 2 today, you're like, oh, this is a nightmare. Right?
I still got love for the Richard Donner cut.
Well, yeah, you know, the funny thing is, when I went to that Whistler Fest with my dad, when we watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, we used Karen Allen as the main female character in that. And of course, she's Lois Lane in a lot of the other Christopher Reeve movies. And all I can think of is like, you know, I liked you in the first one. And I 100% agree with that. I do. If you had to ask me or my mom, like, we have a great memory, and you guys are going to hate this, by the way. Like, anyone watching is going to hate this. We have a great memory of watching the very first X-Men movie. And we watched it multiple times. So I used to be the assistant manager of a movie theater, and we watched X-Men 14 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because, well, one, when you're an assistant manager, you're getting for free. That's not a problem. But my mom is such a huge comic book person. She doesn't read them, but she will watch those movies and love them. So we had these amazing talks about X-Men. And is the first X-Men movie great? It's okay. It's got problems, guys. The casting's amazing, aside from Anna Paquin. Just because I have a huge thing about Rogue not being a teenager. Has no slight on Anna Paquin. She's supposed to be the same age as Cyclops, Jean, and all of them.
Yeah, as is Bobby Drake as Iceman.
As is Bobby Drake, but you know what? He's such a smaller character that I could be okay with that. But I know, no, I'm not. I'm talking the first one. He's not even in the freaking first one.
I said the second one.
I know, great. I'm talking about the first
smaller
one.
Character. Original X-Men.
First. Tone. Shh. Quiet coyote. And a Paquin's a horrible rogue. Okay, let's go to the second one. Yes, Bobby Drake should also be the same age as all of them. You know who else should be? Pyro.
Yeah.
No offense to Aaron Stanford. You were an amazing Pyro, but you were not.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be.
I love the X-Men for its time because they took
amazing
it seriously.
Movie. Yeah.
It, you know, we're coming out of the wake of context matters, history matters. Batman and Robin effectively murdered the superhero movie genre. And with the success of Blade and people not realizing it was a comic book movie, right? People not even realize because it's in the vampire trend, right? And people not even really realizing it's a comic book movie. They start taking taking
Kelsey
risks.
Grammer was a great piece. Thank you, Kevin.
Sony takes a risk on Spider-Man. Fox takes the risk on X-Men, but they do a serious, non-campy take. And that's why I love that first X-Men movie.
The
You
first one
brought
was
incredible actors, right? And made it look realistic as possible. Not a bunch of crazy looking colors,
great.
right? Not a bunch of goofy over the top uniforms. Yeah. Patrick Stewart, that sold it right there.
Patrick Stewart is the most amazing. Like when they cast him, I was like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah. So I remember Patrick Stewart from the movie Excalibur, where he plays.
Oh my gosh, you're dating yourself, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Excalibur right there. I watch it about. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I digress. Really? I just think spinning this all the way back, I think we're on a trend for these fantasy properties where they're getting out of comics and getting into novels. And there's so much material out there to farm for novels. For a while, if you think about novels, they were looking for the Harry Potter replacement, right? And so that's what they were farming for. Now that the Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling's finished making those movie checks on Harry Potter. We're going to put out Percy Jackson series. We're going to find this series. We're going to find the what was the one that Jennifer Lawrence was in?
Hunger Games.
Yeah, they were looking for the next kind of teen pop series.
Well,
and now
yes and no.
Yeah.
So I actually do agree with you, Tone. We have The Witcher. We have all of this. We have things like Castlevania as an animated series and things like that. But what came first, the series or the comic? Because I'm going to tell you guys this right now. I'm a horror girl. You all know that. When we go to horror movies like Creepshow, like Trick or Treat, those open. This is not a spoiler, by the way. Those opened with comic book panels, but they didn't start as comic books. They became comic books after. So we have to sit there and go like, okay, so you guys are going ahead and appealing to the geeky nature, but which geek? Because there are comic book geeks. There are book geeks. There are LARPing geeks. There are D&D geeks. There are video game geeks. There are all of these. Horror, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you go ahead and do next? Because The Witcher was a book.
Yeah.
And now they have the comic book series. Castlevania was a video game. And now it's a animated series, but also a comic book. You know what I mean?
Outstanding animated series for anyone who
It's amazing. Guys, go watch Castlevania. I love the video games, and the series is amazing.
Real quick, I have to add in, I am Carmela Asteria, and fuck you. Right? Like,
I love you so much.
I love that scene. I love that scene.
What I mean is, it's just what geeky came first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Great
I know
point.
I'm babbling, but still.
No, you're not. I think you're making a great point. And I just see that the new trend is kind of out of the kind of the teen novels and into the fantasy novels.
Yeah.
And they're starting to farm those for material now. And the legacy fantasy novels like the Lord of the Rings and the Game of Thrones are like, what more can we get out of this? And then they're
Rings of Power has very little to do with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
A lot of it is made up.
Yeah, they are I'm calling they are extending the canon beyond.
No one's saying it's bad. It's just that it's not in the books.
Yeah.
It's not in the movies.
Yeah.
So now here we are giving you what we think should be the prequel. Yeah. Doesn't make it a bad series. It just makes it different.
Now, question. This takes us in a little bit of different and Jamie's been quiet for like 30 minutes now.
I haven't been able to say anything.
Yeah, because I went quiet coyote and that makes him shut up.
What do you think? So I watched Rings of Power. Tolkien is dead. gone.
I know
Right.
he is.
Right.
Sorry, I love the way you said that.
Right. He's dead. He's got this property everyone loves. He wrote these books, right? They made the books into movies. Awesome, right? For those books. They took one book, the thinnest of it, and stretched it into
Oh
3
my God.
movies, right? The
No
Hobbit,
offense, the Hobbit movies are horrid.
not good at all, right?
They're not the
Do
worst
I
you
things I've
think?
ever
enjoyed
seen.
them.
And now they're
Right?
going
Did you
into
read The
power.
Hobbit?
Yeah, back when it came out.
Yeah. Okay.
I
That's
had
why
the
you
first
liked it.
printing.
It's
Oh
like
my
this.
God.
3-hour movies out of a book. This.
Yeah, it's not even a long book. Like The Lord of the Rings was longer.
this
I'm like, maybe 2. Like, if you
No
really
one
wanna-
caught the Bucky reference.
no, I didn't.
When he's like, "What are we dealing with wizards here?" And he goes, "What are you talking about wizards?" He's like, "I read Lord of the Rings back when it came out, first printing back in 1943."
Hey, Jamie. Quiet Coyote.
Jamie
Dang.
talk. Jamie
Just
talk.
give me crap.
I think that. Do you think that these writers are allowed to create? Any writers should be allowed to create more canon, right?
Oh, that's
Once a
interesting.
writer is dead, right? Like, it's not like we can get any more Tolkien work, right? He's gone.
Well,
So
as
when
Kevin
we
just said, his son is doing it,
right,
but we don't
so
know if that's what Tolkien wanted.
and so
Yeah,
and so let's say his son Christopher went through and gathered all his father's notes and slapped them all together. Is his son Christopher involved in the creation of Rings of Power? Right.
I don't think he is actually,
Right. And
or
so
no.
very little.
if
Correct
they
me if
do a
I'm wrong in
smart
the comments.
job creating canon, right? Creating if what they write as backstory to Lord of the Rings fits within the Tolkien world, should we as fans consider it canon? Or should we consider it as it's cool, right? It's enjoyable, doesn't quite meet, shouldn't be a part of the canon, but I'll accept it as a good watch. Like, what do you think, Jamie?
Honestly, what it boils down to is you look at any type of media over the years, and it's subjective at that point to me. Like, you look at some of these. Let's go back to comics for a second. You look at some of the creators of some of the biggest legacy characters you ever known, and they're still telling stories about them to this day, but different writers. But we still enjoy them because of that fact. Now we look at the media like Lord of the Rings, for instance, like you were talking about. It with that, you had such a legacy to it. I feel like if you're telling a story
Oh,
about certain characters or even something that's adjacent to but not directly tied into a certain character, okay, I'm cool with it. But if you're trying to take a character that's already established and then pulling back on them and being like, okay, no, this is what happened that you didn't see, that to me, I can see where fans would be like, "Nah, I'm good with what I saw already. I don't need this. I'm not for it." But if you're trying to give like a precursor to make people understand what's happened beforehand or subsequently after the fact, like adding on to the story, I can see it as a good thing. I enjoy that with most mediums. I see where people get touchy about it because someone already built this world. Someone already has done this. It's established. It's done. Game of Thrones, it the books aren't even done yet,
right.
but the series is. You get what I'm saying? Like there
Yeah.
should never have been a overlap on that. That should have progressed as the books or have the books be done, which Martin won't ever finish. But it should have stopped at a certain point.
But he's got you in his hold.
And he does. He's got a lot of people in their hold, and a lot of people are liking it. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't
Well, and I
for the
think
same effect.
Kevin's point here, he's talking about the Silmarillion, which, if nobody knows what the Silmarillion is, it's after Lord of the Rings and was written by Gerald Tolkien. It's sort of a little bit of like a prehistory, post-history, a little bit of all of that. And when we're talking about these TV shows, to Jamie's point, how much do we pull out of the person that created the world? And how much do we just make up just for money? Um, in my opinion,
I'm not saying that comment on
No,
air.
I'm not.
no,
I'm not reading that out loud.
no, but you're right, Kevin. Silmarillion does read like that. Anyway, my point is, a lot of this is made for money. They know that they can hook a lot of the geeky people who have lived the lives of these imaginary worlds, comics, Middle Earth, whatever. And we feed into it. Is that right or wrong? What do you guys think?
I think it's right. Um, I
Because if it's
prefer to.
right, they do too much.
Well, I think we come back to Jamie's, kind of gradient scale, right? It's a gray area.
Yeah.
As I
Yeah.
think that's what we come back to there. I think that anytime you handle a property with respect while you're expanding it, I'm okay with it, right?
Right.
And so a great example is this Lord of the Rings or the House of Targaryen. Um, George R. Martin's out freaking at Comic Cons taking pictures with the Spice Girls, right? He ain't thinking about writing another book, right? And and
Sorry.
and
Sorry, that made me laugh.
and I'm like, okay, George R. Martin, your ass don't look like you're in the best health. You better get to writing, buddy. And he's like, nope, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out partying. Um, and so, but here you got this series, and it's based in the world that he created, but not a part of what he created, right?
Right.
And
Yes.
so, but at least to this point, I feel like they're handling it respectfully, far more than I felt HBO handled those last two seasons of Game of Thrones, right? In
Okay.
relation to the content.
I'm still
Where they
finishing
just
Game of
tried to
Thrones.
where they just tried to fill in, like, no spoilers, but they tried to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, they were trying to guess the next step before the next step was
Yeah.
provided for them.
Yeah.
I would like to point out there, really quick deviation. Um, the What's funny, apparent, because it was comedic to me how apparent it was.
Mhm.
There's been a real, I perceive a snobbery out of Hollywood writers when it comes to comic book writers and novel writers. And a lot of comic books were changed so dramatically when they were brought to the screen, and we would see these serious stories in comics. And when they would make it their way to the large screen, they'd be campy and funny because Hollywood goes, no, that's only for kids. And we trust our writers more than those comic book writers. And I perceive that there's some professional snobbery there, where they look down upon the work that comic book writers do and some level of novelists do.
Right.
Right. And so they don't do direct translations of their stories or direct adaptations of their stories because I want I want the property. I think the property is interesting, but I'm going to go in a totally different direction. I think this would be better. And as fans, we hated that over the years, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like now when you get to the Game of Thrones, what you saw as it went on and as they ran out of George R. Martin material, the complete texture of the show changes, right? The
Yeah, I
personality of the show
just
changes.
started season 7.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. I won't spoil it any further than it's already been
Oh, don't
spoiled.
worry, my grandmother already spoiled it. She loves
no,
the
I'm,
series.
I'm just gonna say we're almost at 2 hours, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
some of this is for next week.
Maybe. But I just think I'll close off that thought with that
Yeah.
good time check there, Kristen.
Mhm.
I just think that
Yeah. We were man, we were chatting.
I think they really, you can tell where his work ends and where their work begins based
Oh,
upon what they're doing on
100% you
screen.
can.
And it gives great credibility to these authors that put so much detail into these worlds that they build through words. And so that's what we love seeing to come life on screen. And as long as whoever follows them is being respectful to that, I'm okay with it. And
Yeah,
that's
no,
why
I think you made a good point there, Tone. You really can tell who was the author of the original idea and who are these people making this series, the movies and everything, because they do have to pad it a little bit. I talk about that a lot with my husband, my mom, well, there's a great backbones of a story, but you gotta pad it for the people that don't know it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Game of Thrones did that well at the end. They didn't. But you know what? Who does, really?
Yeah. Well, we shall see. I'm a
I
fan of
know.
both trends, the animated trend and the fantasy trend.
Oh, me too. I will watch all of that.
And yeah, I'm going to ride the trend till it bends in the end.
Right.
Absolutely.
But like you said, that's a great ending point there. We'll get into more discussion next week, probably carrying on or possibly going into new. But Tone, why don't you take us out on this one, buddy? Start it off.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you as always for tuning in. If you have thoughts, comments, feedbacks, please join the community. Let us know. We build this content for you, not just because we love to do it. And so if there are things you'd like us to go into or hit, we're happy to do so. Forward this, take it, share it with your families, your friends. We're always trying to grow the clan here. And as we progress through our week, a lot of people are out there having difficult times. And these heroes and these properties, we love the heroes. They always look at adversity and they meet it with the best version of themselves. We always aspire to be the best version of ourselves. And that's what makes us a hero. Remember, here at the Kodak Station, we love comics and we love heroes. And you are a hero.
All right. And Kristen, thank you for joining us today and filling in. We do appreciate it.
Anytime. I look forward to getting all those reviews out to you guys.
Yes. And we can't wait for them. They've been killer so far. Kevin, love you too, buddy. But guys, as always, go check out the CodexStation.com, your one-stop shop for everything Codex. You can talk to us, like I said. You can check us out, and maybe buy some stuff from our merch. All of our socials are in there. There's no reason you should miss out on anything.
I own multiple shirts.
Yeah, shirts and hoodies, stickers. More is coming. I promise you. Once that is released, everyone will be the first to know. But as I always say, be kind to one another out there. You never know what anyone's going through, and even making someone smile can change a whole day or life. So always be kind, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.